friends with me and CEO Boss Babes, and I want to start with you.
My name is Jasmin with Top Notch Garage Doors.
And my name is Jessenia with SAS Tax and Business Solutions. Thank you so much for having us.
Oh, listen, I'm excited about this. Excuse my voice, I sound like a man today. It is her opinion. We're all dealing with some raspy stuff. But anyways, girls, I wanted to get into you about how I know you. So, one, I used to do your social media, and we've had some hell of times, guys, me and her. But I love that you're a CEO boss babe and you are doing your thing in accounting and taxes. So just to do a little bit of how they're connected is because you're also a client of hers, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, we all started from the bottom and now we're here. No,
I love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, me and Jasmin have an amazing story, which I know she's going to share a little bit about it, how we met and how the growth of her business has come through. And it's one of like an inspiration to me as well. So I literally love her.
It's amazing, right? It's
Yes.
amazing kind of seeing us all and like how far everybody's come, and it's so freaking inspirational. That's not only is it just like, oh, I'm so happy for you, I'm like inspired by you. So
Well, when I first met you, you were in a small little room.
Yeah.
And now look.
in a little cubbyhole that was
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And now look where you're at, you know.
Well, so Jessenia and I met at a networking event, and at that time I was still a DBA, and I was kind of at a place where I was getting a little busier, and I realized that a DBA wasn't the smartest thing for me, right? I had kind of outgrown it. So we met at the event, and I was like, dude, I'm desperate to register as an S Corp, or at that time I didn't even know what an S Corp was, so I'm desperate to register as an LLC is where the conversation went. And so literally the week after we met at an event, I went into the office, we sat down, she on a whiteboard wrote out everything for me.
not the whiteboard.
Literally.
You know me, I will carry a whiteboard.
I know, where's the whiteboard?
She has it now.
So yeah, I mean, she wrote it out, we talked about it, registered as an S Corp within a couple of days. Then, as I was leaving the office, she gave me a tour of her office at the time, and there was a little room there, and she was like, I'm gonna lease this out eventually, and it was her Zen room. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
It was the Zen room. And I contemplated on it because I had always wanted an office, and everybody in my circle, friends, family, was like, you don't need an office, Jasmin, you don't need an office, you're fine. And I knew, like, for whatever reason in my mind and in my heart, that the office was like the next step for me. And so, we talked about it. I ended up subleasing from her for like 6 months, 8 months, something like that.
I think almost a year, honestly. Yeah.
Close to a year. And I just remember when I moved in to the office, it was so small, but it was so big for me. Like, and it's kind of absurd to
And
say
it's
that.
kind of freeing because like if you're working from home, it's like everybody knows how hard that is to like leave the house to go somewhere to get work done, because at home you feel like I got laundry to do, I got these things,
Literally.
and when you're in it doesn't matter the size of the office, because it's
focused.
like, you're focused and you can do what you need to do. But from there to where you are now, girlfriend, oh my god,
Yes.
like that was a little like, let me
was
scoot
fast.
in.
And I still remember the call that she gave me. Like, she was like, hey, I know you told me that you're leasing the office, and I'm all, me, I get all excited, and I was like, yes, let's do it. You do whatever you need to do, paint it. And it was just amazing to see her growth, right?
Mhm.
So, as a person in business, and I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. But so the little office was there, and then I jumped around for a little while, and then now we're here.
Now we're here. So if you have been watching us, then you've seen her office. It's really huge. It's huge. This is not a little office.
I
It's
know.
big. We podcast out of it now.
Actually,
It's
in
beautiful.
different rooms we've podcasted.
We move all around
Yeah,
this office.
exactly.
Thank you, Jasmin.
Of course.
Next is your office.
Yeah.
No, that one's the one I'm most excited for. I just want the sign above me.
Yes. No, and we love it, and we love to see that. And I think it's so important for females to actually be inspired and, be the person in the behind you applauding you all the way. And same with you, Jessenia. You
Yes.
have come a long way too, and we love to see you grow. and to talk about you a little bit. So tell us what's going on now. You're moving and doing big things. So tell us a little bit about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. As you know, I'm a first generation Salvadorian parent. I started by myself in a corner office in my cousin's clinic at that time, and right now we are running a accounting firm of 10 employees now, and we also have a back office in El Salvador. So I know you you guys, you have seen that we've been traveling, right?
Yes.
So we have definitely we are growing.
You had something really big lately. You got to go see the president over
Yes,
there.
yes. It was historical. Like, honestly, I wanted to cry because, I mean, it's something that it goes back to your history, right? Your parents, how they migrated to this country, and now having the opportunity to be there at their country, everything is just so amazing. And I feel like once you're good, everything starts flowing through, because honestly, those opportunities just came to
the
me.
alignment. Yeah.
Yes, like it's just one opportunity after another, but it's also like mentally, emotionally, physically, that you have to be okay, because you've seen it, and Nushin has been there like since the beginning, as like me trying to be
Everything.
a influencer, right? Like in social media, not knowing now, like I'm so good at it, and it's like everybody tells me like, oh, you do good pictures,
Natural.
or like the videos or something. I'm like, Nushin showed me. Like, yeah,
She
so
did. She showed all of
definitely.
us.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think that, and also the circle, right? I feel like we've always been like there for each other, like even open house, networking events, like we're there no matter what.
Yeah.
So
Which
it's
is important.
Yes,
It's definitely
for sure.
important. I think it's like, if you're there for me, I'm there for you. You got to show up for each other. It's very important, I think, because as you move through life, things happen, things change, and you notice who's there and who's not.
Yeah.
And it's very important, I think, because if you're not there for people, they're not going to show up when you need them.
Exactly. Yeah, and even like you have to pay attention when we get quiet, right? It's like, okay, everything okay? Like, we just want to make sure that there's times that it's okay. Like, you can get quiet, you can get in your shell, but definitely you need that person to bring you out. Like, hey, we're not staying in there for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So for
Check
sure.
in on each other.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Jen.
No, just talking about that opportunity, just see, and I also met you whenever you were a few years ago starting out, and just seeing your growth, like even now,
Yes.
You were ready for that opportunity to go to El Salvador to open that, you have a...
Yeah, and then like I am a big believer in praying and manifestation. So I think my brother is one of the ones that he's always like, okay, I know. You told me, because I was like, I'm gonna do business in El Salvador. And he's like, okay, how or when? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm gonna do business out there. And now it's happening, and it's like, boom,
Right.
And then the beginning of this year, I was like, I'm gonna meet like the president, like, and I'm like, I don't know how or when, but it's just putting your mind to it, right?
Yeah.
And I do believe a lot in manifestation, and just putting like,
you want it bad enough, you can get it.
Yes,
you have to put it
exactly.
out there, but you have to work towards it, right?
Exactly.
I think that's the thing is with manifestation, a lot of people are like, oh, this is what I want, this is what I want to do, but you still have to work towards it.
Right.
And that's important.
And
too.
it's like God, it's like He gives you the tools and resources, but you gotta do the work. Like, it's like baking a cake, right? So I do believe in that, and God will put people in your life,
Open those doors for you to be able to walk in.
You gotta walk into them.
Yes, exactly.
You gotta walk
Open that door.
Yes.
Like Jasmine opened this door.
Yes.
Like, boom.
She's the garage door.
She knows all about doors.
She knows
baby.
about doors.
opening
Exactly.
Specialist.
Yes.
There's a quote in my office manager's whiteboard that says, "Don't ask God for things that you're not disciplined enough to work for."
Like
And
that.
Yes.
that's
a
written
good
on
one.
our wall, because it's easy to say, well, this is what I want. I want to do X amount in sales. I want to get this big contract, whatever that looks like for your business, right? It's different for every business, but it's easy to say something, but are you willing to work for it? Are you willing to sacrifice, time off and weekends and late nights and early mornings? Are you willing to work? Because, recently you guys see me traveling obnoxiously, right?
Which you deserve it.
Yes.
You deserve it.
Yeah, but the part behind the traveling that people don't see is me staying up until 4 a.m. and then catching a 5 a.m. flight or whatever, and it's because regardless if I travel or not, I still have a 1,000 things to do. I just do it in
And there's still 1,000 things going on as you're gone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, you may not be able to put the phone down. And
No, literally.
You're still working while you're trying
I'm
to
literally on a
vacation.
sunset cruise this weekend, and Nicole is
Yeah.
calling me. She's like, Jasmin, what do I do? And I'm like, what? I can't.
The reception.
I'm in the middle of the ocean. No, I literally couldn't
Yeah.
hear her. And I'm like, I'm literally in the middle of the ocean. And she's like,
Yes.
we gotta figure this out right now. So I'm literally on a boat,
Yeah.
like, okay.
You're like, can we go back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
it's an emergency. I need to
And
be back on
then
land.
the stress takes in. I mean,
Yeah.
it kicks
Yes,
in at that
exactly.
point. And you, even when you're on vacation and you're trying to relax, it's still always something.
It's
Right,
more or less
right.
like being a business owner because you are responsible. I mean, you are the
Yeah.
boss, so you're responsible. So you have that feeling in you that okay,
It falls on
it
you.
falls on you. Exactly.
No, absolutely. I was talking to somebody not today, last week, because I've been in 3 trips back to back, and they were like, "What about your kids?" Because I'm a mompreneur, and the things that they don't see is that okay, I come in from a trip, and then now I have to establish babysitting and like making sure that their schedule's good, and also cooking. Like I make sure I leave. My kids don't like fast food or anything, so cooking rice, beans, and different,
She has to come on the show and cook for us.
Yeah. So I mean,
I haven't seen the food.
do I like to cook? Maybe not. My kids. So those are the things that people don't see. That they're like, oh, lucky you're traveling this, but they don't see that I'm grocery shopping, making sure that
Yeah.
my kids are okay as well, because it's balance, right?
And that's part of one of
Yeah.
the things of social media. Like we've said this over and over again, and we've had these talks many times where I say it's that facade that you put out there as the businesswoman, as the person who's got it all together, but really we don't. Like, what you see is just half of the picture.
Right.
There's all the other stuff, and I think as we've gone to get to the point of A to maybe, I don't know, K, we're not in Z yet, but maybe K, you start slowly showing people, the other parts of it and the struggles, because not everything is, put out there, and it's not supposed to be, because some things are personal.
Mm-hmm.
But, there are times that we have to put out there, like today's not a good day, and I'm struggling. And I don't know how I'm going to get today done, but I'm just, kind of showing y'all I'm here,
Right.
like
No,
it's
for
what
sure.
it is, and this is kind of what it is. And I think people realize that as social media has kind of now slowed down. It's not slowed down, but you know what I mean. You've
Right.
gotten in it, and you,
Shifted.
yeah, they want to see the true, the organic, the real deal behind that
Yeah,
CEO.
exactly.
Yeah, that calls
Yeah.
people's attention more than anything else. Being real.
Mhm.
Right.
You know?
And I always tell like people, I'm like, it's hard to be have an A+ in all
Yeah.
aspects
Okay.
of
The TV
your
is changing.
of
Oh, it's okay.
the like.
Y'all, we could pause it for a second. Y'all want to watch Amazon Prime, or I'm just kidding. One moment just to add it back on.
Yes,
We can
no
edit
worries.
that part.
But yeah, no, it's hard to have like you can't have an A+ in all aspects of
Yeah.
your life. Like maybe sometimes I don't want to do laundry, and I'm like, can I pay somebody to do my laundry?
Well, I think one of the things, I'll bring this up when we start back, is that not everybody's a CEO. Not everybody's an entrepreneur, and they're the people that watch. Maybe sometimes they're inspired because you are. There's some people that will never be and don't care to be an entrepreneur. So how do you raise them too? Okay.
All right, sorry.
I don't know where we left off.
I'll just kind of
she was gonna start.
Yeah, I think one of the things too is that like as we're putting stuff out there, and like as you being an entrepreneur, not everybody's an entrepreneur, and sometimes we have to scale back because it's not always about CEO and entrepreneur. Everyday people, moms that are stay-at-home moms, or you work a 9-to-5 at a great job, and you may never want to be an entrepreneur. You still need to connect with them, and you still need to figure out ways that you're just as important as an everyday. We all have struggles, right? We all have things that
Correct.
we deal with, and the thing is not making somebody feel like you're whatever you're in is not important as me, right? Who has to oversee this or oversee that.
I'm more superior than you because
Exactly.
I'm a CEO or whatever I am.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, it's like I don't want to be.
I know. Sometimes you're like, what did I get myself into? You know?
Literally me.
Yes.
But since I started being a little more vulnerable on social media, you guys follow me, obviously you see all the crazy stuff I post. Since I started being more vulnerable, I think that people are able to relate to me more. And, I don't have the biggest following, I know that. Would it be nice to have 2 million followers?
I mean,
yes.
honestly.
I would love that.
Follow now.
I know.
Follow now. I would love that. But the people who do follow me, they interact with me a lot. I get messages from people that I don't know. I get messages from people who have been following me for years. And I love that. I love that, sometimes I post some of the most difficult parts of, having this company and running things and growing. Growing is so difficult. But people swipe up and they're like, wow, that's so, I can relate to that in some way. And maybe there are people who follow me that they aren't CEOs, but they do work a normal 9-to-5 job. They have a great job, but they struggle to get up early and go work out, or they struggle to balance their life, and they struggle with, some of the same things that I struggle with. Because at the end of the day, whether you own a company or whether you work for a company, you still have the same 24 hours as everyone else, and you still have somewhat of the same struggles. Your struggles are different. Obviously Jessenia is a power mom over here, and I don't know how she does it. I watch her stories sometimes, and she's literally 3 work events and then soccer practice, and then she's over here at the park, and I'm like, dude, have you sat down today?
Yeah.
How much water have you drank?
I know, right?
Today.
That's a good question.
Have you drank
Hydrated?
Literally.
Yeah.
I'm like, how does she do it? It inspires me every day. I don't know.
I think you're kind of built with what you need to have to
exactly.
the life that you have, I think.
And whatever you've gone through has prepared you
and
for
I feel
now.
like I always pray that I'm always praying that not for me to lose it, you know what I mean? Always have my feet in the ground and just giving my 100%. As I'm coming home, I have to give my 100%. I can't, I wouldn't forgive myself if I get home and I'm just oh, I'm tired today, just I gotta give them 100% because that's the reason why I'm doing it. And I communicate with them. I'm like, hey, today I have an event. This is what I did. And now they understand a little bit more as they're growing. But same with workouts. If I'm gonna go work out, I have to give it 100%. I can't just,
And that mom guilt, you kind of have to put it behind you, because sometimes when you are too busy and you're thinking, oh, I'm not spending enough time with them, that comes in, you're just like,
yes, no, for sure. And you just have to, but you have to learn that if you're gonna have to live with that mom guilt, right? But then I think communication is big, and that's something that I've been I struggled in the past in relationship and as mother-daughter with my kids, and I've been working with it because now I have a team, and I have to communicate now with my kids as well. I have a really, really strong communication. I even tell them from the littlest things, hey, look, the presidential stuff or this, it's just
things that they
may
not understand. They can relate to it. But I had to touch on that because we were on the nightcap and we didn't get a lot of time to kind of touch on that, and it was about motherhood. And one of the things I will say is that mom guilt is a thing that's there, and we're always stressing, did I do enough? Is my kids gonna say I wasn't there? And I have to say something, that my mom she had to work to pay the bills, and she was not able to do the games and things like that. And I survived. I'm fine. I don't ever look back and say, my mom wasn't able to blah, blah, blah. I might have told her I needed help with math. It was she's like, I couldn't have helped you anyway. But, those things, no, it's who your mom made you to be.
Exactly.
You're the reason you are because of that person or whatever. And if you had a stay-at-home mom, then that's amazing, that your mom was able to be there. But I respected that. My mom had to work. She had to pay the bills, and never do I hold that against her. So the same thing, you have to give yourself grace for your
now that you're
your
older,
kids.
you understand that more, because maybe while you were going through it, you didn't understand it, but now, and I'm pretty sure your children will feel the same way. They're gonna see all the work that you did and where you're gonna be at whenever they get older and think it was worth it.
Your kids are watching, and whether you notice it or not, you're igniting a fire in them, and they're gonna see your mom. They're gonna see that their mom works so hard, and they're gonna want to be like that too.
Yes, no, for sure. I already see it. Sophia, she's gonna be 6, and she's already mocking me and doing videos, and I'm just like,
she's acting like you.
Welcome to SAS.
I love it. I love when your kids are at the office and you're the SAS kids.
Their hashtag.
No, that's good. I mean, all those things are so important, and family needs to be important no matter where you're at in business. And if you at the same time, you have to incorporate them, because you hope that they'll be taking over one day or working with you and knowing what they're doing. because there's a lot of those kids that they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, no, and if you think about it, a lot of successful people, they will talk about either they failed in marriage and their family, or they had to keep it together and strong, because that is the most valuable part, and sometimes people lose it, and money changes them.
Yeah.
So that's why my dad always tells me, pon los pies en la tierra, like keep your feet in the ground. So I'm like, okay.
I'm trying.
But my heels.
Putting my tenny shoes in the ground.
Yes. No, and I feel like as a minority and being a woman, it's harder for us.
Yeah.
It is harder because, we come from like being have to get married, have kids, be married, cook and clean, and then we're changing that.
Yeah.
And it's just.
And you get the looks like, oh, you want to do that, but you don't want to do this, or like, those judgments of, well, you should be at home with your kids, stuff like that. I have a friend that she's in a position where she could take a higher title within her company, but it involves travel. And she has a 5-year-old, little girl, and she's like, if I didn't have my daughter, I would probably take that position, because they're probably going to look at the other girl who doesn't have kids and is younger and give her that opportunity, and it's true. There's things that we have to think about that somebody else might not have to, because they're evaluating that when they're looking at the role of that position,
Yes.
And some of those things are really hard, and I think that as moms and as whether you're an employee or an employer, you're always going to have that extra baggage. I wouldn't say baggage. What did he call it? Jay called it.
I forgot. But yeah.
We say baggage. We don't mean it that way.
Yeah.
But
the little blessings.
The little blessing. That's another term we can use. He called it something else, and it was it was a good term. But someone else may look at it as baggage. You know what I mean? Even a relationship.
Yeah.
When you're dating somebody and they're like, oh, she has baggage. You know what I mean? Those are my beautiful kids.
But even coming from a Hispanic culture, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and it's kind of like, are you going to be cooking for your husband? Are you going to be doing this and doing that? All those expectations that in the Hispanic culture that they think that you should be doing. And then I'm like, well, I'm Americanized. I have to work. I cannot stay at home. I tried to do it, and I was going crazy. And then, like I said, that mom guilt, like you feel bad. That you can't stay home, like you want to stay home, so.
I want to stay home.
And I couldn't, but I couldn't.
This is run.
I just need like $1 million allowance.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll stay home.
And then
I'll cook all the meals. I will sell it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely now. If you could now say it,
And be like, you hear her?
But once you get into that role, then you're like bored, right? Then you're like kind of want to do stuff, but you don't. You want to do it because not because you have to, but because you want to.
Yeah.
If I want to stay home today, I can. But if
I want to cook, I'll cook.
Yeah.
Exactly. But definitely, I don't want to do it because I have to. But that comes from going into that role and then learning what that comes with.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I think some of us, we may be like, oh, like me and Jen starting a podcast. If we know what we know now,
I know.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot to add to your plate when you already have other things going on. But those are the things that you have to sacrifice. And if you put something out there, you want it. You see the long term vision of it. You got to work hard to get to it.
And honestly, I want to congratulate you guys because I know they've been through. Didn't we start from like the kitchen at the building too?
That's what we were talking about cooking. I was like,
don't think
are we back at the kitchen?
And don't think we won't add a little more of that as we get into it.
So we've been through. I love it. That's why I was
test and trial.
This is just gonna be amazing because we've seen each other grow and doing all the building and everything. So
but speaking of that, I think one of the things that is people are afraid to try things. You know, I think we would not be where we are today if we were scared to try things. I mean, that's the biggest thing is like I love being with people who are like, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens and let's do it.
So our next podcast will be at my own building that I'm purchasing.
Oh, I mean, we have our new sponsor.
Yes, absolutely. We'll have a coffee shop in there too.
Awesome. All right. Well, so that's exactly like I think being around women that are not afraid to make moves and to try things.
Exactly.
You learn from things that you fell at too, and sometimes you gotta fail to get to the next level.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's what I feel that has helped me because I have built character. And before I have been always a people pleaser and making sure I'm trying to save the world, even though even in this last trip that we took, everybody was like, Jessenia, just stop, because I know you're trying to, Vianney was like, I know you're trying to save and have a solution for like every little thing, but everything went well. So I'm glad.
You wanted to be the great host, right? The best host.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's how I usually am. So,
you know, and then we learn that things don't work out. Like, stuff just happens and we have to go with whatever. You know, sometimes no matter how much we want something to work, it doesn't work, and it's life, and we just end up learning later that it had to happen that way for a reason, right?
Yeah.
You can't see it at the moment, but when you look back, you're like,
I was crying for
oh
that.
my God.
Please.
It's like dating. It was like dating too. What? I dated that guy for what?
Yes.
Yeah, no, those things are all important, but to break it down though, because again, getting back to the topic of where the accountant, the taxes, a business owner, and how do you guide people when they come into the office? And let's say you're just starting out, like Jasmin was around that time. How do you guide them and tell them like which way they need to go with their business?
So let's use Jasmin for an example. So she came in and she was like, hey, I'm a DBA. Do I transfer to be an LLC? Am I ready? So we always want to know what their goal is, because if you're just like, okay, this is my side hustle, like then I'm like, okay, let's just keep you as a DBA, is doing business as. Once you start an LLC, is limited liability company, which is its own entity. Once you are making a certain amount of money and profit, we do have different options. For example, one of the options is an S corp. In order for you to be an S corporation, classification with IRS, you have to be an LLC or an incorporation. And then we have to also scan the business to see if they qualify to be an S corporation, because sometimes, you know, clients come and they're like, well, I'm going to become an LLC. I'm like, well, I'll hold off on the S corporation because there's rules to it, right?
And the tax bracket.
Yes, exactly. So then, and you have to be on payroll, pay yourself a reasonable salary and all that. But that's where also tax planning comes in place, because if S corporation is a good option, then we go from there. And then, but since we did see the growth in Jasmin, we went ahead and did, especially her industry, right? Like it's construction, like anything can happen, and you want to be protected, because the LLC has two benefits. One is the legal side, and the other one is how you're going to do your taxes. Like a lot of people are like, well, do I need to be an LLC to have the deductions? No, you don't. You can still be a DBA or just be a sole prop, right? But once you are making that profit, we want to make sure we do have that shelter in place of like the profit, right? So,
well, guys, we are back, because you might not know this, but Jasmin had to disappear on us. She had something out on the field that's kind of being this entrepreneur that she is. So that's why she's here in a different outfit. She sweated out there in the heat, and now she's
Houston.
She had a little change of clothes, but you know, that's okay. So we have to
I like the cute.
yeah,
We're back.
the cute. Yeah. I bet you're more comfortable now,
I'm
huh?
definitely more comfortable. Heels are gone now.
Well, glad to have you back.
Yes.
You too, ladies.
Thank you. No, that's things that we were just talking about, right? That anything can happen in the construction industry. And one of the things that I do want to touch base is especially the general liability insurance, right? I mean, tell us, like, that is huge. I mean, the liability that you have as, you know, doing new construction and everything like that. So those are things that business owners need to know as well.
Yeah, so I have a giant insurance policy, and thank God in the industry that I'm in, let me just knock on wood real quick, I don't generally have any concerns that go about insurance, just because we're at a very low risk. Garage doors, although they are dangerous, they are relatively low risk, because the worst possible thing, and you know, this sounds terrible, but the worst possible thing is like it could fall and kill someone, right? But like, how many times have you ever heard of that? It's very rare. So I do carry a lot of insurance, and it makes me kind of laugh, because sometimes I'll be driving down the road and somebody gets close to me and I'm like, hit me, take me out of this car, I got more insurance than I need, take me out. So I'm like, let me cash out on this $1 million policy, take me out.
Don't let the insurance company hear this.
And don't talk about it too much, because you don't want anybody to follow you. Hit me.
No, but now that you're talking about the garage doors, like, have you ever had like any client or somebody, you know how, like, I mean, I'm guilty too, like I've done it where you press the button and you try to run and like
Oh,
Yeah.
and you see the videos?
Yeah, like
Yes.
the sensor, like go over the sensor and then
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah. I've never seen it happen. I think I would fall onto the ground and just die right there of laughter if I did in real life. Pro tip, you don't need to run. You know, the keypad that you have on the outside, if you just press enter, it'll close, no code needed, but don't
If
do
you
that.
have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if you
If you have
don't,
it.
contact
Yeah,
the garage
if you
door.
don't, you need to upgrade and get one that
Yeah.
has the app, because now that we have the app, you can just open and close it from your phone. Those videos on Instagram absolutely kill me, and sometimes like I'll just rewatch the same one. It's that guy with the door, and all his friends are in the car recording him.
Yeah.
That video kills me every single
Yeah,
time.
I think you need to be like, don't be this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how now those viral videos of like the pool, we just saw the one earlier. I want to do like the same one reenacted with the garage door, but I know I can't hold character to try.
Yeah.
Like,
But
exactly.
even those videos though, like I feel like everybody that has done them, like they're just laughing their
Yeah,
heads
that's
off.
it.
Like,
I mean,
they're just
that's-
like,
I mean, in the world that we live in, people want to laugh. And like I said, that is
Yes.
kind of what is the viral tick, because people are enjoying what
Exactly.
they're watching, you
Yeah.
know, and then you pray that you get one customer out of that.
I made a video like 2 weeks ago, and it was like the pulling up to the job site or whatever, and it was really goofy. It took me 1,000 tries because I could
for
not
sure.
hold character.
Yeah.
She's like, put my name down. R is in rotisserie chicken. I was dying. I could not. And we're like out in the sun, literally. Well, I was in the car with the AC, but you know, my cousin who was recording it, she's like, get it together, Jasmin, I'm sweaty. And I just could not hold character.
And that, because you need someone recording the recording, right?
Yeah.
exactly. And that's where Nisha comes in place. She's like the backside of
Yeah,
everything. and,
Social
like,
media, like, come on, girl, get it. You can do it. It's only the take of 110, 100 takes.
Yes, I remember whenever she would like do my videos, she's like, "Okay, this is it. I'm not gonna be putting it like this, okay?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am. Okay,
I'm
got
gonna
it."
hit you. Do you hear me?
Do like
And you
1,000
start
tries.
off really good, but
Yeah,
then something,
exactly.
and then you have to
Say it like this. The opposite.
I know. That's what I would do.
And that's another thing, right? Is like trying to promote yourself, being the marketer, social media, doing all these things to push your business, because now it's a whole different ball game. There's social media that you have to worry about. It's not just what it used to be. And you got to be a full-on actor.
Exactly.
Actor or actress. You gotta bring it. You gotta do better than the next person in this field.
Yeah,
and like,
exactly.
oh my God, they're making these videos. Now I gotta do this. I gotta do that.
So
And-
we gotta get in the pool
Yeah.
and like with the water
yeah,
flashing up.
exactly. It's kind of that.
Person
It's
falling
like
off of, they roll off.
they roll off
Yeah.
the
The
roll
bed,
the
right?
bed, yeah.
yeah, like that.
or roll into a tortilla.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that stuff is crazy. But like all of those things, like when you expand, like you're doing now, expanding into a bigger place, expanding your business, and it comes with all these other extra bills and things like that, which also has to do with like what we were talking about with deductions and taxes, and like, if you do move into the S Corp and all these different things, like but the benefit side, and then it comes with all the cons as well, because you take on headaches, you take on a lot of responsibilities that nobody gets to see that part. They just see, wow, she's doing big things. Well, those big things come with price tags.
Yeah.
All of them come with more employees, what you're doing with the cost of like the insurance, like all those things. And I think it's also very scary, isn't it?
Terrifying.
Like, how do you sleep at night?
No, I don't, which is
And
why
we were
wanna
talking
go.
about this the other day of you deciding whether to stay with a 1099 independent contractor or doing an employee, and what's the pros and the cons to that, because sometimes you think as a business owner, well, if I have to pay an employee, it's going to cost more, but maybe it doesn't.
It doesn't always, and you have to kind of like, it's a game of math. Business is nothing but a giant equation, right? And so, for my business specifically, transitioning from subs to hourly makes sense, but for a lot of people it doesn't. When you try to bring somebody on full time, that means you have to have work for somebody full time. That means that they're no longer, when somebody is a 1099 and they're a subcontractor for you, it's their responsibility to provide the tools that they need, the vehicle that they need, the gas. But when you're the employer, it's your responsibility to provide all of that. And you can't tell them, okay, well, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars hourly, but you also need to have your own tools and you need to do this. You know, there's pros and cons to each side of it, and it's really about evaluating the business and, you know, am I positive that this is the correct transition? Not 100%, but do I, you know, my gut tells me that this is something that I need to do, and if it were to fail, I do have a backup plan to always have subs, you know. It also leaves me with, you know, the subs that have been working for me, they've been with me for a long time, and it wouldn't make sense for me to transition them particularly to hourly. So it leaves me with the responsibility of how do I keep them in the company? How do I convert them to an employee that they're going to make the same amount of money and it's going to make sense for them? And it's difficult. You know, I'm very transparent with the guys that work for me, and they know that, you know, essentially I'm trying to cut that part of the equation out. And thankfully I've got a crew of about 7 guys. 2 of them have been with me for the longest, and they work for me every single day of the week. So those 2 guys, as I'm looking to take this step into bringing people in as employees, essentially I'm going to try to hire them to be field managers. So instead of being out in the field installing, they'll be on a salary and they'll just oversee the installers, help to train them. They'll help with like warranty concerns and when people need something right away. You know, as I'm growing, when I started, I had the luxury of being able to say, when something were to hit the fan, I could go immediately. And, you know, now that luxury, I don't want to say it's been taken from me, but it's difficult. It's difficult for me, you know, if I'm in a meeting, it's difficult for me to answer the phone. One of my clients, he always laughs because he's like, man, 3 years ago when I called you, it wouldn't even ring twice, and now I gotta leave a voicemail. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you know, I always call back and I'm like, I'm sorry, but you know, they understand like it's a different ball game from in the last 2 years.
You're busier.
Things are just different. I've always got a checklist, and you know, I have a shared notes with my office manager, and every day her shared notes goes down to like 1 or 2 things that need to get done the next day, and every day mine goes up from like 100 to 200. And then she'll look at it and she'll look through my to-do list and see if there's anything that she can, you know, take off my plate and help me with. But she looks at it and she's like, when are you going to do all of this? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any idea? You know, I bought a house, and the very first thing that they told me was like, you need to change your driver's license. And it took me 3.5 weeks.
For sure.
And my realtor was like, you need to get it together. You gotta file the homestead exemption, whatever the heck that is. Right? That's Jen's expertise.
You'll figure that out when the taxes come around.
No, I did it.
Yeah, okay.
Because he was like, I'm gonna call you and I'm gonna stay on the phone with you until you do it. And so literally he called me and was like on the phone and like, all right, are you done? I'm like, 5 minutes, I'm trying. My new address doesn't even come up on the maps. It's telling me it doesn't exist.
Yes, no, for sure. I do want to piggyback because you mentioned 4 important points in your conversation. One is knowing when you want to transition your subcontractors to an employee. That's very important for the people listening, because you have to check with Texas Workforce Commission. You can get penalties if you are claiming that you have an employee paying him as a subcontractor. That's one, right? And if you have more questions, contact us. We'll be happy to help. And then 2 is the SOPs, right? You're trying to grow your company, grow your leaders, right? And then you have to have a system in place, right? Of how they're gonna do this, what you're expecting from them. Because I even posted something a couple of days ago, like I'm like, the saying was like, okay, if you're telling somebody what to do, then that's not a leader. A leader is somebody that executes, you know, if they already know what type of job they need to do, they need to do it, right? And then 3rd is like delegating. You have to delegate as a business owner, like you're, you know, with your team. And I love the fact that like they were like, no, let me see your list and let me see what I can, you know, take off your plate. So those are key points as a business owner, right? So yeah, definitely you're killing it.
And delegating was probably the hardest thing as it got busier that I had to learn to do, because you know, you go from running a business where it's completely just you to now it's like there's no way that you can do everything. And one of the biggest things that I think I would tell anyone who's looking to like take the next step is you have to have a team that believes in you and believes in what you do, believes in your product, and has the same, like, vision. It's your job, it has the same vision. It's your job to have like company morals and expectations and things, and then when the people who work for you, when they see the way that you work and they see the way that you treat people and how you do things, a good employee or a good team member, I hate the word employee, but a good team member is going to basically turn into you, right? And if as a leader you're someone who's lazy and doesn't communicate well, then your team is going to do that, because how are they going to know better? And so, you know, unpopular opinion, a lot of people are against hiring family and friends. They think it's bad business. I understand where that can, you know, cause difficulties, but I think on the contrary, you know, hiring my best friend to work in the office has been the best decision I've ever made as a business owner, because she cares so much about me that she wants to do well for the company. You know what I mean? She cares more about the company than she would if she was just working for some big corporation. And you know, Jessenia could probably jump into that. Her office is full of family members, and they all have a different type of loyalty to you, because they understand. They see, I get goosebumps, like I'm literally, I got goosebumps. They see the grit and they see the vision, and you know, at the end of the day, as a business owner, it's really rewarding to me because I get to offer my best friend a job that pays better than, you know, the job she was at before, that has better benefits. You know, when she wants
not to jump in, but you know, obviously I work in family-owned business, and yes, you're absolutely right. There's a different loyalty than you would get from anybody else, but you're lucky to have a good best friend, because that doesn't always happen. You can have people that get jealous of seeing you, you know, get bigger and grow, and then they resent you for that, and then you wind up, so you have a good person, you know what I'm saying? Because there is two sides to that, and it definitely, and you can fall apart. You could lose a friendship. You could get mad within your family. It does happen. I know there's a lot of people out there that probably say, but when you are blessed in that nature and it's able to work, it's great. It really is. It's a great thing, because it's great to be able to, like you said, to be on that end and to do that for someone, and somebody that appreciates it back, you know, and when you grow, they grow. That's the thing, is when you grow, they grow, and you don't leave them behind. You know what I mean?
And I think that's where, like, a lot of, you know, the business relationships they might fall under is because a lot of times when business owners or when individuals start to do better, they get greedy in a sense, and they're like, oh, I run $1 million business, but I pay my office manager $12 an hour, and they're not making any money. And then you show up to the office flaunting a new car, a new house, a new this, a new that, and they're barely making ends meet. And I think that's
putting in the same amount of time that you
are,
sometimes more.
And I've seen that firsthand. I know someone who owns a very successful business, but actually runs nothing, and their sibling is the one who's in charge of literally everything, head to toe runs through her, and she makes like $18 an hour running this giant business, and like literally she was barely able to afford a place to live and a car and this and that, and meanwhile the owner is flaunting everything, a brand new Rolex, a brand new car, this, that, and it's like,
but a lot of that is a front too for some people. Not everybody. Some people are doing great and they have those things, and then some people are fronting for the camera, for social media.
100%.
And I recently was with somebody that I met speaking on a panel. We went to dinner the other day, and she was telling me, and I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to throw someone in the bus, but she was telling me, you know, I passed by this building and I looked at this company that their name is on this building, and I was like kind of jealous because I was like, you know, man, I wish I could have got that opportunity, and I would love to. And I said, I know that business. I know those people. They're not doing as well as you think. Don't just think because you see and assume and see their social media that they're doing all the things that you're jealous of, because they're struggling. And they probably won't be there next year. I was like, and she was like, wow, you know, I know. And I was like, oh yeah, the facade that we have out here sometimes is not really what it is. And while we're sitting back kind of like looking up to something that we think is bigger or better than us, that's not always what it is, you know. And I think that's the beauty too of showing the struggles behind the business and what's out there, because it's great for someone to be like, wow, you know, like it's relatable, it's attainable. I can, you know, not instead looking up like, wow, she's doing amazing, driving a fancy car, always got luxury bags, and like, you know, I just want to have that life. Well, that life comes with a lot, you know, there's a lot behind it in order to obtain it. And I think sometimes we forget to, you know, focus on some of those things too.
Right. And same thing with, I was gonna just, you know, get back on the, you know, sometimes you meet people and then social media, they're like this type of person, and then you meet them in person and it's like, wait, this is not like,
This is not
that's not who I thought you were.
Yeah, exactly. So we're pretty, I love our group because it's like pretty transparent.
Yeah.
You see what you can, you know.
Yeah,
like,
and if you see somebody in our group with a bag, they worked hard for that bag
Yes.
or those shoes, and you know, there's no bragging or whatever
Yes.
with it.
Yeah.
But you know, it is what it is. I mean, like, we get people that come here and come to the podcast. You know, we podcast out of your office, which we're grateful for. There's no, you know, we're not boasting or anything out of here. But
People
at
are
the same time,
actually surprised.
people are like, wow, y'all have like this fancy setup. And I'm like,
Yeah.
listen,
You know?
listen,
I
the
know.
struggle is real, okay?
For sure.
We're learning as we
Trial
go.
and error has been.
You know, the camera might go out
I
sometimes. The
know.
sound might not be there.
I
But-
might have an emergency.
Yeah,
Exactly.
someone's got to step out.
yes, exactly.
We got to re-record.
You haven't
Yeah.
eaten lunch or
Yes,
something, right?
exactly. I mean, there's so many things behind it, and it's like, but we look good though. We
I
look
know.
good.
At least you try.
Yeah, we try. And that's one of the things that I think, like, back to what you said, where, you know, your best friend, you're able to work with her. And I think when you have a good group of people and there's a loyalness there, and you're always looking out for each other, supporting each other in business, and you know, like things like this, like where we have now this podcast and a platform, and it's like, bring our friends on, show them off, you know, what they're doing, back and forth, and all of that. I think that's where you build the good loyalty, the relationships that last forever. And it's like, if I'm talking to somebody, I'm going to talk about you in a room and promote you,
Oh, for sure.
you know, or you
Yeah.
know what, I know I have a person for you, or blah blah blah. That is what I want. You know, I want someone to talk good about me when I'm not in the room.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to talk bad about somebody, right?
100%.
But if
Well, I
you're,
would say that you're very raw to people, and
Yeah.
she's like, she's very
Yeah.
straightforward.
yes,
She
gets
gets
That's
That's
why we've
right.
always gotten along, because she'll
Yeah.
tell me straight up.
Yeah, I'm not lying.
We're like,
We're
you
not
know,
lying.
she's very straightforward.
Yes.
Just FYI.
Tell her like it is.
She gets up from her
And
desk.
I'm not gonna say it behind your back.
And I don't get offended.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
Yes.
if you are easily offended, you probably are gonna hang out with
No.
me. I can say that right now. I can say that right
I didn't know
now.
that.
I got a lot of people that run for the hills. Bye.
We've had people come and go. I've
Yeah.
seen them.
Bye. Sorry. But yeah, no, I mean, it is hard. It's very hard to, especially when you get older in life, you know, because even though all of those things, you're still a business
Yeah.
person, and you still have to be professional, and you still have to have a level of respect back and forth for people. And I think those are things that are crucial in what both of y'all do. And
Yeah, I know, and that's a good topic too, because it's how do you keep your professionalism in a moment of a mad client with a mad client, right? Like, I mean, what do you usually do whenever you have a mad client? Let's talk about
Like,
that.
nobody's mad at me. Yeah.
have one.
They all
I
know what I
have
do.
clients that get upset, but it's
Well, you're
more
messing
about
with their money.
I know.
customer service.
Yeah. Oh man, I mean, they don't really get mad all the time.
Ah.
It's just not a thing. I
Yeah.
know. I'm really lucky in the business.
I
that
think
have.
maybe for you, it's probably like when things aren't lining up at the right time or something, and then you get all that kind of stress. But
Yeah, but it
You're
usually.
quick to fix
She's like, this
whatever
is why
needs
I
to
don't
happen.
sleep, because my business must run perfectly.
Yeah, no, not perfectly, but you know, when you're transparent with people, when problems come up, you know, don't get me wrong. We have problems where like. The technician drove through someone's grass the other day, and I was like, call your landscaper, and I'll have to pay for it. Like, that guy was pretty upset. He was like, send him out here right now and fix it. And I'm like, I'll pay for it. I'm sorry. Like, he was dumb. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm sorry.
Dumb.
Yeah, he was dumb. Why did he drive through? He was like, the driveway was really small and my truck was big, and
Yeah.
why didn't you stay on the street? Why'd you go in the I was like, I didn't want to walk that far. Like, it was a long driveway.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm like, all right, I'll fix it, because at the end of the day,
It's
we're
on
wrong.
you.
We're
Yeah.
wrong. You know, and so like, I don't allow people to get mad. Like they're upset and I fix it. Like if I lose
exactly.
money, I lose money, right?
Yes,
if I ended up,
and your
you know,
piece.
I ended up paying all that money to fix his landscape. I don't think it was really
It was a better job than what he had before.
Yeah, like I don't really think it cost what they charged me, but like it got fixed. He's happy. He's fine. He's gonna keep reusing me, you know. And I think that's one of the things is like some people when things hit the fan, they get defensive and they're like, well, it wasn't us or whatever. I'm like,
attitude,
you know, and then you give people the ick. Like I don't know how to professionally say that, but if you don't know how to like act when things are going bad, you give people the ick. And not me. I'm just like, okay, I'm so sorry. Like, how can I fix this? You know, and that's the way that it is. I think, you know, again, my industry is very different in the sense of like your problems to fix are probably a lot more severe than my problems. Mine include like my driver my technician drove through someone's grass, or like, you know, they put a screw on a piece of wood and it broke because the wood was like 25 years old, and then they're upset and I'm like, cool, I'll give you a new 2x4, I guess. You know, so like my problems are just not the same problems that most people have.
They're easy to fix.
Exactly. No, for us it's more like communication, finding out what was the problem, the solution. Once we have a solution in place for the client, they're pretty much like okay with it. It's just the moment of, I also feel like some people, like for example, maybe not let me use a client, so pretty much he's never had to pay back to IRS, and this year it happens to be that he put dependents on his W-4. That means they're gonna take less taxes throughout the year. So he's having to pay back, and he's like, I've been calling you and you haven't answered. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I told you already, like you owe to the IRS. Like how can, no, it's your fault. And I'm like, how can I explain this to you? Like, it's not my fault that you owe. I've been communicating with you, and that's another thing, like as a business owner, keep documentation, because that way you can go back and be like, hey, I did contact you, you know, this date, and then we did submit all your paperwork and all that. So I just, like you said, I try to, like with me, and that's what something my team tells me. They're like, I don't even know how you keep it together, because it's just like,
don't take it personal.
Like it's okay. We're gonna go ahead and fix it, you know. Like,
well, you have that little soothing voice too. So when you talk, it's like, okay. All right.
The other side to it is, you know, your line of work requires a lot of work from your client for it to work, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's a partnership. And
exactly.
a lot of times people think like, oh, I hired a CPA and they're going to do everything and I'm going to do nothing. And they don't understand that you're hiring a new team member, and it's a synchronized relationship. You're both working together. Whereas like my industry, I'm working for somebody. So I'm the one, like, I'm not going to tell them to go replace the 2x4.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm the problem solver. But you're in a different industry, so yours is more like a relationship. And at the end of the day,
it's literally a relationship, because we getting to know each other. Even whenever we started, I'm like, Jasmin, we're gonna be like constantly like calling you. Like in the beginning, it's like a learning phase, and the relationship, knowing the industry, and each industry is different, right? Like in the accounting side, right? So yes, it is a lot.
Yeah, but it requires me to do my homework. You know, you guys are only capable of doing so much. At the end of the day, you're not responsible for my work. You know, like
this organization.
It's my liability to the IRS, and you're helping and you're representing me and everything. But at the end of the day, like, it's me with the IRS. You guys are like the middleman, right? Yeah. But it's not like the IRS is gonna come to you and be like, well, Jasmin,
it's not like the IRS is going to arrest you if you're doing what you're supposed to do.
And that's what I mean here.
Well, technically,
if you did some kind of fraud,
then they'll be like.
But if it's because, I was gonna say, if you know nothing because they're doing something else, but if it's you and they're like, we filed everything that we were supposed to, but she didn't have them receipts.
Yes, save your receipts, please. Very important.
I have a friend who's had a CPA for Lauren. She was at the event the other day. She's had a CPA for the longest, and she called me and she was like, I just found out all this stuff. I've never known this. I have to pay so much money to the IRS. And I'm like, instantly, I'm like, okay, well, are you tracking your miles? do you have these receipts for this? This is a write-off. Are you keeping up with this? No, I didn't know any of that. And I'm like, you need a new CPA, dude.
Yeah.
You need a new friend, because that girl did not do a good job.
No, for sure.
And she's like, she literally told me at the end of the conversation, she was like, I've learned more in the 20 minutes that I've been talking to you while you drove to the office than I did in the 3 years that I worked with this person. And I think that's why it's so important to, like, again, have a circle of people who are helping you.
And I think that's the level of growth too, because you learn from
Yeah.
you usually learn from something that went wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even like social media, like the way that now I record videos, everybody's like, "Oh, you're a problem." Like I learned it from Nushin. I learned it from her. Like literally.
We're learning, right?
Yeah.
And but the thing is that you listen and you pay attention.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know there's people out there that don't even listen, don't pay attention, and they're still making those same mistakes over and over again after someone's kind of guided them or helped them, and you're kind of like, okay, well, you're just going to continue to repeat these problems in whether it's business or whatever it is you do. But I mean, that's the beauty of, like, I know, like, you know, kids are going to school now and going for entrepreneurship, and I'm thinking these professors that are teaching them don't even own businesses.
Exactly.
Like, there's a lot of things you don't learn until you go through it, and you really trial and error.
College really taught me like 3 things that helped me in the professional world. You know, like I took a marketing 3301 class, and we had to, you know, start a company from the ground up, and we made a company overview sheet. And when I took things a little more serious with the garage door thing, I made myself a company overview page, and now anytime I'm speaking to like a prospect client, I'll send him to them. And I've probably gotten like 7 builders out of like sending them a company overview. And one of the builders, we went to the same college, and he was like, cool, you're hired, just because we went to the same college.
Yeah.
Which, like, I would have never thought before to like send that much of my personal information, but boom, client from that. That's one of the 4 things. I took a business law class that helped me with filing liens. That's really it. Like, law and marketing.
I
were
mean,
the only things.
nothing can really teach you, but maybe another entrepreneur who can be like, I did that. Let me tell you what.
Learn from your
Let me tell you
mistakes
what.
and all
I
that.
mean, because when you go into that bad boy, and like we just talked about,
Yeah.
your business is not the same as someone else's business, and the time that you move is not the same time that someone else moved, and you may start a business and move a whole lot faster than someone who's been in business, you know, for years.
Yeah.
So it's all about how well you run your business and what you do, and if you invest back into it.
Correct.
I think, because if you invest back into it, then you grow to a level that you're able to see the performance and everything play out the way hopefully it should, and not crash and burn.
That's right.
And if you do, to be able to get up and keep on going.
Keep on going. That's right. To survive, I think, because that's survival of the fittest.
For
Let me
sure.
tell you.
Yes.
But well, ladies, I'm glad that we were able to finish this and really get it out there of like all the great ways that we work together and how we know each other. And I'm, like I said before, I'm proud of you, ladies. You guys are killing it. You're killing it. So if you need help with your taxes, accounting, Jess is the girl. Look her up. SAS.
No, garage door.
The garage door
The garage
girl,
door girl.
top notch. Jasmin is your girl. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.